Imagine yourself sitting in class, paying attention to the teacher, when suddenly the entire school collapses into a massive black hole, and you find yourself in a strange and terrifying place. This is today's manhwa story, set in a world where black holes have begun to appear everywhere. Before we begin, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Our protagonist, Kim Do-yoon, as usual, wakes up to his mother gently waking him, followed by a bit of bickering with his beloved sister, just like any typical youth. After receiving a bit of motherly affection, he walks with his sister to the school gate. They say their goodbyes lovingly, and he continues on with his friends. Suddenly, on the way to their classroom, they notice a group of students gathered around something, guarded by school security. And then, it appears, a black hole in the ground. His friend speaks up. "Isn't this one of those weird black circles? Did one appear at our school?" Another friend comments, "It's a hole. Anyone who goes in never comes back. I heard thousands have gone missing because of it." The security guard yells at the students to get to their classes. Inside the classroom, Kim Do-yoon sits attentively as the teacher talks about the black hole that appeared at their school. The phenomenon of black circles refers to strange holes that have recently appeared around the world. These holes are not related to gravity and can appear in the sky or on the ground, often large enough to swallow a car. Despite humanity's efforts to investigate, the cause of their appearance and what lies inside them remains unknown. The reason is that all devices malfunction inside the holes, making communication impossible. To this day, no one has ever returned after entering a black hole. After explaining all this, the teacher shares a recent incident. 5 students vanished after entering a newly appeared hole out of curiosity. He warns them not to play near these holes and to report them immediately if they ever see a new one. On his way home, as usual, Kim Do-yoon meets his beloved sister and they happily greet each other. At home, the family celebrates their father's birthday and gives him a gift they all chipped in to buy. Their father is overjoyed and they continue the celebration in happiness. Meanwhile, we see the black hole at the school, guarded by a security officer. Suddenly, the guard falls in. The next morning, as usual, students are in their classrooms. Kim Do-yoon feels bored during the lecture when suddenly everything goes dark. Startled, he quickly looks out the window, only to see the entire school collapsing downward into darkness. Screams and cries for help fill the air. A news anchor appears announcing an unprecedented disaster. A massive black hole has opened at Seon High School in Seoul. It was larger than any hole previously seen, and the number of victims has yet to be determined. In front of the school, a large crowd has gathered, among them Do-yoon's shocked parents. According to eyewitnesses, 17 students who weren't dragged in because they were outside, the hole suddenly appeared and swallowed the school, sparing only the courtyard. A total of 512 students and 38 staff members fell into the hole. Back to our protagonist, Kim Do-yoon, he suddenly regains consciousness, thinking it was all just a dream. But when he looks out the window, all he sees is pitch blackness. He quickly realizes it wasn't a dream. The school really did fall into the hole. The teacher checks on the students, asking if everyone is okay. It seems no one is injured. A girl named Seon-ah asks the teacher what will happen to them now, but the teacher doesn't know how to respond. He says he'll go check outside. Meanwhile, Kim Do-yoon thinks to himself, as long as no one's hurt, maybe things will be fine. Maybe the whole school didn't fall and they can escape through the roof. Suddenly, Seon-ah asks him, "Did you see that too?" He replies that he saw the school fall into the hole and tries to reassure her that everything will be okay and they'll escape. But she tells him, "That's not what I was asking." He's confused. "What do you mean?" She tells him that the school has changed. At the same time, the teacher is inspecting the corridors and finds that they stretch endlessly. He tries to use his phone to call for help, but there's no signal. Suddenly, a small girl appears behind him. Meanwhile, Kim Do-yoon asks Seon-ah what she meant by saying the school changed. She explains that as the school was falling, it was completely destroyed, and everything was jumbled together. It felt like everything had been rebuilt from scratch. Do-yoon tells her he doesn't understand what she means. Outside the classroom, the teacher turns to the girl behind him and asks who she is and what happened to her hands, but she suddenly gets angry and screams at him. "Why are you wandering the halls during class?" The teacher doesn't understand. He tries to ask her what she means, but before he can open his mouth, a doctoral certificate-like object shoots out of his back in front of all the students. Everyone in the classroom panics, terrified. A student named Seong-ji yells for everyone to get back inside. "There's a killer out there!" The class descends into chaos. Everyone runs around in a panic and follows Seong-ji's lead as he tries to escape through the back door. But out of all the choices he could have made, this was the worst one. Just as he's about to step outside, he's yanked back inside by a girl named Han So-jin. Then, a student named Jung-woo and Kim Do-yoon grab chairs to defend themselves in case she tries to attack. Suddenly, the girl appears in front of the classroom door. Do-yoon prepares to strike, but Jung-woo stops him, saying, "She's not trying to come in. She's just standing there." After staring at them for a few moments, she turns and silently walks away. All of this happened just 10 minutes after they fell into the black hole. They were already witnessing things they thought only existed in comics, but reality was something else entirely. The students, overwhelmed, shut the classroom door. There was nothing they could do for the teacher anymore. Not all of them had seen what happened. It had occurred in seconds. So Nam Jung-ho, the class president, explained everything to the others. They started trying to figure out what to do next. A student named Jeon Seok mocked him. "A monster killed the teacher, and that monster looks like the girl on our textbook cover." What nonsense. But the class president insisted he wasn't the only one who saw it. Jeon Seok replied, "If that's what really happened, then it's simple. All we have to do is kill the monster. She's just a little girl, after all. And we're safe as long as we stay inside the classroom." He added that it would be better to deal with the monster quickly rather than staying paralyzed by fear and then begin searching for other survivors. Some students began to agree with his plan, but the class president tried to stop him, urging them to consider the worst-case scenarios. For example, what if the monster couldn't be harmed by their attacks? Jeon Seok became angry and snapped, "So what, then? We just sit here doing nothing? That's not going to change a thing. Also, don't just say what won't work. Give us a plan or shut up." The class president replied that what he said was true, but they needed to prioritize escaping first, since they couldn't afford to lose any more people. Jeon Seok shot back again, furious. "We can't even take one step out of this classroom and you're telling us to look for an escape route." Then he began asking the students who supported him if someone would volunteer to act as bait for the monster, allowing Jeon Seok to sneak up and kill it. "You're insane, you bastard." That was Han So-jin, the girl who had saved Seung-ji by pulling him into the classroom, shouting at Jeon Seok. "The teacher was sliced in half in the blink of an eye, and you talk about this like it's nothing? Then why don't you be the bait?" A heated argument broke out between them. While Do-yoon tried to calm things down, the quiet student, Lee So-han, had been writing something. Then he handed it to the class president. As the president began to read it, he was taken aback and mumbled under his breath, "How to survive the black circles." Everyone immediately turned toward him at the sound of those words, and the class president asked So-han what he meant. How could he know anything about surviving in the black hole when no one had ever returned? So-han answered, "It means exactly what it says, how to survive in the black hole and return to the outside world." He asked everyone to stop fighting and listen to him, then began to explain. The idea that no one has ever returned from the black holes is what most people believe, but it's not true. There are a few unregistered individuals who survived and came back. If we follow what those survivors did, we might be able to escape too. As usual, Jeon Seok, the class troublemaker, spoke up with scorn. "So now we're supposed to believe some YouTube theory you found and try it in real life?" So-han replied, "I'm not just spewing theories. My uncle was one of the survivors." But because of the flood of fake stories online from people chasing fame and claiming they survived, Jeon Seok didn't believe him and demanded proof. So-han didn't offer any proof. He just said, "It's up to you whether you believe me or not. But there's no harm in listening, considering we've already fallen into the black hole." The students sat down and began listening intently as So-han read from his notebook. To survive inside the black rings, it's essential to understand what this place is. First, the black rings are places where everything, except living beings, is distorted. After saying this, most students didn't grasp what he meant by distorted. So-han clarified. The area outside the classroom wasn't as they remembered. It had been reconstructed negatively. The endless corridors and the monster they encountered were proof of that. Suddenly, Seona asked why the classroom hadn't changed, why the chairs and furniture looked exactly the same, and how distorted something had to be for monsters to come out of textbooks. In response to the first question, So-han explained that objects close to living beings retained their original forms. That's why the classroom and its contents were untouched, as were the other classrooms. As for the second question, he explained that when he said everything but living beings was distorted, he didn't mean only physical objects. Even concepts were affected. Examples include the school's sports rules, illustrations in textbooks, urban legends about the school, and all other ideas that shouldn't exist in reality. They had been twisted and made real. Before the students could fully process what So-han said, a girl named Nari pointed to the window. "There's some kind of light outside." The students rushed to the window to see what she was talking about. Suddenly, the view outside was no longer pitch black, nor was it a prison filled with monsters. Instead, what they saw was the school itself, twisted into a never-ending labyrinth with no clear beginning or end. One student fainted. The rest stood there, frozen, hopeless, paralyzed by the realization that returning home might be impossible. But So-han urged them again to listen. He continued his explanation. "Second, the monsters here are hostile to humans, so avoid them at all costs. Third, time flows differently inside the black rings. One day here equals 1 year outside, so don't expect any rescue from the outside. Fourth, since the body isn't affected by time here, we can survive without eating for years. Not eating here is the same as not eating for 4 minutes in the real world." Finally, he emphasized the importance of caution, observation, and analysis, treating everything they encounter as if they were studying it. Only through experience would they begin to understand the difference between the two worlds. The students began to feel a small spark of hope, especially after the last thing So-han said. "The way out of this place isn't above where we fell in from. It's deeper, farther down into the black ring." All this information was what his uncle had passed on to him. Then the class president gave a short motivational speech, encouraging everyone to work together to make it back home. Suddenly, the bell rang, signaling the end of break time. Afterward, the students began working together to form a plan to escape the black hole. Their strategy was as follows. Create a map of the area outside the classroom to avoid getting lost in the maze the school had become. They would do this by exploring in teams of 4 during break periods. Of course, now that the rules had come to life, they had to return to the classroom during lesson time. Otherwise, after each break, they would regroup and combine the maps they had drawn. With repeated attempts, they hoped to piece together a complete layout of the place. Jeon Seok, as usual, mocked the plan. "You think 10 minutes is enough to go out, explore, and come back?" But Seona jumped in and explained that, based on what she observed, from the start of the class period, the teacher's death, the start of break, and now the end of break, she realized that the break period was longer than the class period. Upon further investigation, they confirmed that her theory was correct. The durations had been reversed. Now, break lasted 50 minutes, and class time only 10 minutes. And so, the issue of limited break time for exploring outside was resolved. However, a new problem emerged. The deeper they ventured into the maze, the harder it would be to return to the classroom. To solve this, the class president suggested searching for other safe classrooms and using them as new bases. As they began preparing, gathering weapons, portable lights, and timers to keep track of time, Wong-yoon bursting into tears and trembling in fear. But Soo-yeon quickly shut him up, while Do-yoon and Si-euna discussed the papers and pens they'd need for the mission. And so the first team was formed. Team A: Kim Do-yoon, Wong-yoon, Si-euna, and Soo-yeon. Team B was made up of the guy with the cast, Kim Tae-hyun, Nam Jung-woo, Han Soo-jin, and Choi Nari. Next, we see Seung-jae. He hesitates to thank Soo-jin for saving him. Lee Mi-ji, the girl with oily hair, notices this and exposes him by shouting that Seung-jae has something to say to Soo-jin. At that very moment, she nervously approaches Soo-han and tells him they're on the same team. He responds coldly, which only makes her even more flustered. And with that, Team C is formed. Soo-han, Kim Ji-yeon, Lee Mi-ji, and Seung-jae. The scene shifts to the troublemaker, Ji-yoon-suk, chatting with the purple-haired Choi Hyun-jun about how ridiculous it is that the other students believe in the existence of monsters. Ji-yoon-suk then says they should try to join forces with students from other classes if they find any, and so Team D is formed. Ji-yoon-suk, Hyun-jun, Seo Ye-rim, and Seo Ju-young. Seung-jae tries to overcome his fear and takes a step outside the classroom, only to celebrate having simply stepped out. Just like that. Success, I guess. The class bell rings. The class president informs everyone that during the previous break, he had scouted the hallway and discovered that there was a path to the left and another to the right, and each of those branches into two more. With 4 teams available, each would take a different path. At that moment, someone wasn't paying attention. Do-yoon. He saw an image of his sister and was visibly worried about her. He offered some advice. What matters most is that you all come back alive. Don't push yourselves and don't try to fight the monsters. The bell rings again. The plan is set into motion. The break timer starts ticking. 12 students, 6 girls and 6 boys, set off toward an uncertain fate. The scene focuses on Do-yoon, lagging behind the other students as they try to leave the classroom. He's lost in thought, still unable to accept everything that's happened. A memory surfaces, his friend Ji-woo proudly showing them a drawing he made of them. But the group had gotten upset because they didn't like how it looked. Do-yoon had promised Ji-woo that he'd meet him in his classroom after class. Snapping back to reality, Do-yoon tells himself that now isn't the time for distractions. He needs to focus on escaping with the people he cares about. As the students walk through the hallway, they stumble upon the body of their teacher, which causes panic to ripple through the group. Seung-jae and Jung-woo decide to move the body away from the path. Right after, the class president begins handing out advice. Keep an eye on the time. Count how long it takes to go and how long it'll take to come back. Yeah, we get it. We'll go first. Why does he keep repeating the same stuff? Of course, that's exactly what the class troublemaker would say. The scene shifts to Group A as they move through the dark hallway, lighting the way with their phones. Naturally, it's time for our chubby Zenitsu to panic again, mumbling about how they should just go back to the classroom where the lights are on and it's safe. Soo-yeon tells him that he's free to go back if he wants. He shuts up. Do-yoon tells Si-euna to mark any unusual things on the map. As they move deeper into the corridors, they suddenly notice a faint light at the end of the hallway. They approach it and discover that the path splits into 2 well-lit hallways. Looking at the map, they realize they've taken the corridor that was to the left of their classroom. Soo-yeon turns around and spots a strange drawing of a boy on the wall. She alerts the others. At the same time, Group B discovers a similar drawing, this time of a girl. Upon inspection, they confirm it's just a drawing. Based on the map, they've gone down the right corridor, opposite to Group A. Along the hallway walls, they find several eerie, grotesque drawings of boys and girls. Young Woo, the class president, suggests they return to the classroom, even though only 11 minutes have passed. He reasons that they should prepare more before delving deeper into these halls. Back to Group A, they decide to examine the strange drawing. Wong-yoon pleads with them not to approach it. Soo-yeon silences him with a single shout. Do-yoon walks ahead cautiously, only to find that the hallway is empty, aside from even more drawings of boys and girls scattered across the walls, floor, and ceiling. He decides it would be smarter to examine them more thoroughly before getting any closer, but then something on the ground catches his eye, a pen. It looks familiar. He remembers that Ji-woo, his friend, used the same type of pen. Meanwhile, members of Group B ask the class president why he decided to head back. He tells them he needs to verify what the others found, because something about the wall drawings feels off, like they were created by monsters. Do-yoon spots another drawing of a boy on the wall. Then it hits him. The drawing looks exactly like Ji-woo. His hands begin to tremble as he imagines Ji-woo crying and screaming as he's absorbed into the wall. He shakes off the thought, telling himself it's just a drawing, just an illusion. His group catches up and scolds him for wandering off alone. His chubby friend sees the drawing too, and the two exchange glances, but say nothing. There's nothing they could say. Their growing concern for their friend says it all. They move on, silently hoping Ji-woo is safe. Soon they reach a point where the hallway branches into at least 5 paths. They realize now how smart the mapping plan was. Without it, they'd be hopelessly lost. As they wonder which way to go next, Do-yoon decides to follow the trail of drawings, hoping it'll lead to either his friend or another classroom. Siona continues drawing the map and marking the locations of every drawing they pass. Suddenly, Do-yoon makes a discovery. Each drawing has a counterpart, a matching image, and they all depict students from Class 2. Soo-yeon confirms this by identifying one of the drawings as the vice president of Class 2. Wong-yoon starts to panic again and insists they head back. This time, the others agree, since their plan was to retreat at the first sign of danger. Do-yoon hesitates, torn between fear and his hope of finding Ji-woo. But finally, he chooses to return, rationally. Suddenly, they hear a voice calling for help from behind them. A chill runs through their spines as they turn around and hear the desperate cries again, echoing from within the hallway. Zenitsu cries out, "A monster! A monster!" And without missing a beat, he bolts off, shouting, "Screw bravery! Screw half of it too! I'm out of here!" His teammates grow worried and ask Soo-yeon to follow him so he doesn't get lost. Do-yoon and Si-euna decide to check out the source of the voice. Since they don't have a weapon, Soo-yeon gives them one before leaving. Do-yoon and his partner creep toward the sound, trembling. He reassures himself, there are no monsters during break time. He asks Si-euna to stay behind and shine the light while he checks ahead. He sneaks up slowly and peeks into the hallway. There, he sees a student lying on the ground, crying for help. As his eyes adjust to the darkness and confirm there's no monster in sight, he approaches the boy and asks if he can stand up. What he sees next shocks him to his core. The boy's lower half is part of a drawing, while his upper half is still alive. Suddenly, everything clicks. The boy begins screaming, pleading for help. He begs Do-yoon to hurry. There's a monster that folds walls and turns people into drawings. It left to hunt others but could come back any moment. He begs him again and again to move fast. Do-yoon is paralyzed with fear. Before the boy can even finish screaming, a giant hand, fused with the wall, swoops down and slams the boy to the floor. Do-yoon is frozen, unable to move an inch. The hand folds the wall like paper, returning it to its original shape. Now, where the boy once was, there's only color. He's become a drawing, completely. Do-yoon remains frozen, staring blankly at the wall as the massive hand finishes its task and retreats. From deep within the wall, a voice echoes a single word.
Decalculalia.
The scene now shifts to Group C, where the hallways are twisted and warped. The students follow Seung-jae cautiously, trying not to twist their ankles. Ji-yeon asks Soo-han if he's okay, and with a cold tone, he replies, "Yeah." Meanwhile, Seung-jae chats with Miji about the other groups. He believes everything will be fine, as long as it's just the twisted hallways and not actual monsters. They just need to watch the time and get back to the classroom. Soo-han surprises them with his cold reply, saying, "Guys, what are you talking about? We can encounter monsters even during the break." I don't need to explain their reaction after he said that. They ask what he means, thinking the corridors are safe as long as they move during break time. And that's the reason they went out to explore in the first place. Soo-han tells them, if you're in the corridor during class time, you'll be attacked. That was the rule of the first monster we saw. Why do you assume every monster will follow that same rule? The first monster followed the rule that students must stay in the classroom during class. And if that monster was created from the distortion of a Korean language textbook, then the monsters we'll encounter in the future could be born from distorted school rules or completely different things. Out of all the infinite monsters in this place, we've only made a plan against one. So stay alert. We return to Do-yoon as he begins to regain consciousness after the sound of the giant hand slamming the boy and slowly retracting back into the wall. He starts wondering why a monster is even here. Isn't this break time? The place should be safe. After the monster eerily repeats the word decalcomania, Do-yoon loses hope of surviving and realizes he's as good as dead. Suddenly, he remembers Soo-han's words to them. You must observe, analyze, and think constantly as if you're studying. Moments pass and nothing happens to him. He notices the monster disappear back into the walls and starts thinking, did the monster let me go? No, that doesn't seem right. Is it just playing with me like a rat in a trap? What the hell is going on? The relief of surviving lasts only moments before fear takes its place again. Do-yoon tries to make a quick decision. Should he wait for the monster to leave? No, there's no guarantee it will, and I don't have the luxury of time. And the bigger problem, his friends are in danger because of him. Soo-han's words echo in his mind again. Observe, analyze, think. He tries to recall everything that happened and piece the clues together to reach a logical conclusion. His chubby friend running away while screaming, the boy calling out for help, saying the monster moved away to catch the others. Suddenly, he stares at the wall like he's discovered something. He decides to test his theory. He throws a broom while praying in his heart that he's right. He looks at the wall and waits for something to happen. Suddenly, he hears the same voice from within the wall.
Decalculalia.
As the wall starts moving again from the direction of the giant hand, and the monster checks for the sound, Do-yoon realizes that the monster doesn't see. It hears and reacts. He begins thinking through his deduction. The more I think about it, the stranger it gets. The number of students turned into drawings is double digits, and yet I'm still alive in this position and haven't turned into a drawing. The fact that the monster didn't notice me despite being so close and returned into the wall led me to believe that it can't see. Then I assumed it detects people in a different way. If that's true, it must be by sound. But locating people just by their sound doesn't seem logical. Woong-yeon was screaming while running away. That's when I thought maybe it doesn't detect sound. But as my thoughts tangled, I remembered what the boy said. The monster went far away to catch the others. That makes it logical that the monster detects people by sound. It didn't hear Woong-yeon screaming because he was far away while it chased other students. And when it came back, it was because it heard the boy screaming for help. Finally, it all makes more sense. I survived because I didn't move or say a word due to shock. With all these clues, the mystery is solved thanks to Do-yoon's logical analysis. He begins crawling away slowly, trying not to make a sound. When he returns to Seon-ah, she tries to call out to him, but he tells her not to say anything and just walk silently. He'll explain everything later. As they walk slowly, suddenly a loud crash echoes from the corridor, and Seon-ah instinctively screams. Then the monster growls from within the corridor.
Decalcomania.
At the same moment, Group B arrives as the first to return to the classroom. They check the time and find only 25 minutes left until break time ends. Back to Do-yoon and Seon-ah, the monster roars Decalcomania, and then a massive hand emerges from the corridor, folding the floor and chasing after them at full speed. Do-yoon and Seon-ah run with everything they've got, while the hand chases them, trying to turn them into drawings. The gap between them narrows quickly, only about 2 meters left. Then Do-yoon throws his phone toward the hand, the ringtone turned on. With a terrifying crash, the hand smashes the floor where the phone rang. Then, silence. The atmosphere goes quiet again as Do-yoon and Seon-ah stand breathless and inches away from the hand. After a few moments of calm, the giant hand restores the floor, thinking the sound source was destroyed. On the ground, the phone was gone. Only its drawing remained. Seon-ah and Do-yoon stared at it silently, even 5 minutes after the monster left. Using the map, Do-yoon and Seon-ah begin making their way back. Moments later, they run into Woong-yeon and Soo-yeon. Do-yoon begins screaming and crying after learning the fate of his close friend Ji-won. His chubby friend joins him, and the two cry together. And thus, the first exploration ends, with the monster's weakness discovered and their friend's fate confirmed. 5 minutes before break ends, Group A returns to the classroom as the last group. Mi-jin welcomes them and asks how they're doing and whether anything happened to them too. Upon hearing the word too, they realize something had happened to the others. She tells them something terrible happened to Group D-. They left Ye-rim behind in the corridors and didn't bring her back. Before she could finish, 2 students enter who had been searching for Ye-rim in the corridors before break ended. But they found nothing. Due to the time pressure, the class president tells everyone there's nothing they can do now but wait and pray for the class to start again. Then they can search again. Suddenly, Ye-rim's classmate Seo-jong screams at the instigator and calls him a killer, saying, "This guy didn't just try to kill Ye-rim, he tried to kill me too. We should expel him immediately." Jun-seok arrogantly and provocatively replies that he's feeling crazy and might kill her now too. Soo-jin steps in and argues with him, saying if Ye-rim doesn't come back, he'll be considered a murderer. Then the purple-haired Hyung-jun steps in and tells her to watch her words. The classroom turns into chaos, until suddenly, the bell rings. Back to the past, Group D was the first to head out, led by the instigator Jun-seok, with his constant mockery of what had happened to him and Hyung-jun. At the same moment, Ye-rim was crying over the teacher's death. Jun-seok told her to stop crying, then suddenly remembered that she sat in the front row, meaning she saw the teacher's killer, and demanded she describe it. She cried even more, mumbling a description of the monster, long, sharp arms unlike anything human. Then the instigator and his friend laughed at her. Moments into their exploration, they found an exit door at the end of the corridor with a large window showing the outside, where the school looked like a complex maze. The 4 kept walking, then came across the girls' restroom. Then Jun-seok told Ye-rim to wash her tear-streaked face. Ye-rim refused, afraid a monster might be there, so Jun-seok went in first to check. They didn't find anything. Afterward, he told her to wash up since the place was safe. Without anyone noticing, behind Hyung-jun, there was a mirror reflecting a frightening and terrifying reflection of the 4 of them.